Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to introduce the next speaker of the session, presenting a beacon of courage, intellect and valor all over India. A soldier, a doctor, a teacher. Born in Dharwad, Karnataka, she was passionate about the medical and the military field, defying her father to become an army doctor. She was commissioned into the Army Medical Corps in 1982 and completed her post-graduation in pediatrics with further training in pediatric nephrology and multiple international fellowships. She is one of the only three women. She is one of the only three women to hold a 3-star rank in the Army, the only doctor in the Prime Minister's Science and Technology Innovation Advisory Committee, the recipient of President's Gold Medal, Kalinga Trophy, Best Teachers Award, Vishisht Seva Medal, Ati Vishisht Seva Medal, to name a few.
She is the former Dean of the Armed Forces Medical College, former Deputy Chief of Integrated Defence Staff, and an advocate for tribal communities, medical technology, research, and women empowerment. Ma'am represents discipline, perseverance, brilliance, and commitment. The one who decided to shatter the glass ceilings of medical and military fields.
With drum rolls of determination and trumpets of triumph, breaking the society perceived stereotypes, it is an honor to invite the Vice Chancellor of Maharashtra University of Health Sciences, retired Lieutenant General Dr. Madhuri Kanitkar.
Good afternoon, friends. It's such an honor and a pleasure to be here. I couldn't have spent the Teachers' Day in a better forum than to be on the MAMC stage. Thank you so much for having me here. And before I begin, I must compliment my two previous speakers, Pratibha and Sujata, who really, epitomized and put across such wonderful views. And probably this was the first time it was as if I have lived those moments and I had such a deja vu. So thank you so much for making it easier for me. So I thought when I was asked to speak, challenges to opportunity was a sort of the cliche term. But I thought to do that, I think most important is to make the right choice. And in that, there is no absolute right choices, right? We just heard that. The choice is when you make it, what you make it, and how you abide by it. So I feel whenever you make a choice, yahi hai right choice, baby. So it says, and this is me reflecting, with the wisdom of the grey hair, that freedom lies in being bold, said Robert Frost, and I couldn't agree more. Because that fish would never jump into a larger if he knew that he may never land up in water. So it has to, you have to take that leap. So before I begin my talk, I'll start with, what she just, someone just mentioned about, I think it was Sujata who said from absolute, you don't know where it comes from. Well, I was a little railway girl growing up in a railway colony, and with no really just any other middle class normal girl who, the only difference was we were three sisters, and my father brought us up to feel that we were no different. And each one of us has reached this. And why? I think it's this tribute, that's my grandmother in the middle, who's 4 foot, that's all that was her height. And those are me and my sister when we were in 6th and 7th standard. So you can imagine. And why is she such? She was a child widow, an orphan, who had beaten all odds, and her mother sent her from a village to Pune, to the Karve Institute, where Maharshi Karve took her in and trained her, and she went on to become a doctor. So that is probably where the guts and courage came in. I think it was the genes beyond the Wranglers and the Levi's. So this is a tribute, and my sister, who's a pediatric surgeon, has written a book on it called My Aji and I. Aji is the Marathi word for it, which was launched by Dr. Mazumdar from Symbiosis. So coming to choices and decisions, did I see my destination where I stand today? The answer is definitely no. Did I know I will reach this height? Again, absolutely no. Was I prepared for the challenges? Big no. Was the journey tough? I should be say maybe. I'll leave it for you all to decide. Then what was it that kept me going? So I think what was important, and this was a paper clip where I was asked on Women's Day, and I said, decide on your goal and reach your peaks by yourself. Don't wait for someone to give them to you. So what I did, I think, was preparing myself for each situation by reinventing and rediscovering myself with new skill sets for every opportunity. And taking the decisions in time, probably, and making them work for me. So this is the journey of 1978 when I joined AFMC. As they introduced me, I had to really fight with my father, who felt that if I joined an armed forces medical college, next time I'm going to pick up a gun and go to the border. So he even got me out, and having been a CBSE topper and being first in Maharashtra and PCB, there was no way I was first in the other medical college. I had not even heard of any other medical college, otherwise I would have come to MAMC. So, but having said that, my roommate in Ferguson and a good friend was from an Air Force background. She showed me AFMC and I said, wow, this is somewhere I'd like to be. So I just filled up the form. Next thing I got through the interviews and I joined it, and then wrote to my father, who was in the railways, now posted in Gorakhpur, and got my grandfather to sign on that form. So Dad came running down, took me out and threw a little tantrum and said, I need to. But that's fine. This journey of 78 to 2020, when I became a Lieutenant General and retired in 21, I mean, that had its own challenges which I'm going to keep on. But I think the bigger even thing was after that what? I mean, there was on one side a grandson, a cute fellow who was there on my DP, and time to have that big bucket list travel. I mean, life is so much fun. And yet, at that point of time came this people telling me that you need to, you have it. And I said, yes, I do have it. And I agree with you, Sujata, at 60, yes, I'm beyond 60 and I'm going strong. And I think I'll continue at 80. Why 70? 80. And with that enthusiasm, much to even the governor and everyone saying, do you really want to take the headache? And I said, if I want to see a change, I have to be the change I want to see, which Gandhiji said. So I therefore, with great himmat, 31st October, I retired, took the evening flight to Pune. Early morning, 5 o'clock, drove down to Nasik, and by 11 o'clock, I was the Vice Chancellor. So that was, no joining time, no breathing time, and no time to think and regret whether I've done the same thing. Having done that, I said, now is the time to start the change. So when I talk of my journey, and this I want to share that in the time when I was an undergrad, it was like, okay, you do your education and then you get yourself degrees and you get into patient care. But research was not such an important aspect. But along the way, that curiosity in me got me more and more to take it on, and I had to really struggle because, in our own environment, I couldn't have been, and I'll tell you how I went about. But I think where it was important I envy you youngsters, the world is yours. You have to just choose what you need to do. And that education, research and patient care, they're not three parts of a triangle, but they actually need to run in sync. You cannot do one without the other. So what were the early lessons? Yes, I too did fail. I think the first thing I've spoken in some of my talks that I've given, which are there on social media, joining AFMC was like a kid who got into this big toy shop and there were so many toys, I wanted them all. And having been enthusiastic, I was in drums club, sports club, everything with no attendance for the first, and the failure of the first part exam. I think a lot of you all relate to that. Was a huge shake-up factor. Didn't have the guts to tell Dad because all he'd say is, I told you so, bigad jayegi AFMC jaake. And so it was, and my teachers, I remember my anatomy professor, I sent him a happy teacher's day today, who twisted my ear up down and said, is that what you've come for? The story is endless, and I'm sure every medical graduate can go into that. You are forced on one side, weighed down by peer pressure, like she said, MBBS, you've got the marks, you've joined the best college. There are aspirations, not just yours. You have your parents, your teachers, the societies. You're just bogged down with that. There are distractions. Come on, at 17, 18, when you're there, in medical school, you've done it, been there. There are lots of distractions. I'll come to that in a while. And the fear of failure. Once you do this thing, can you accept it? But then, that's the time when any of these happen, is the time that you are the chosen one. You've got this opportunity. What are you doing about that? How many able to get into a good college, take on this medical profession, and this story goes on. And you realize very early that this is the lesson you need to learn, that you need to work hard, but important to keep yourself alive. You can't be at 60 a boring lady who would come doddering down and give you a lecture. I don't think you all would listen to it. So it was important to have all-round development, continue with dramatic, sports and everything. But I think it's important not to lose the focus. What do I want? And that I can be what you want. Don't let fear get after you. Don't go into it as a herd. And you learn time management. Because if you learn it today, you will be able to do it for the rest of your life. You keep learning how to take out what is important, when to do it, how to do it. I think that is very crucial lesson you learn as an undergraduate, as a postgraduate, which continues in life thereafter. So finally, D-Day, I love to show this photograph where I got a uniform and I got all these trophies. But the trophy I really prize is the guy standing on my right. This was, and now I'll let out the little secret. And I'd like to understand the distractions when I was in 12th standard, and I was fascinated by this smart guy from NDA who used to walk around on the Ferguson Road, and having met him reinforced my wow, not just about AFMC, but about the armed forces. So that was the reason I had to fight that to join AFMC, and having known him throughout, and when my parents got to know of it, they were very worried. And I said, don't worry, he has to be 25 before he married, and I will finish my MBBS. I will join AFMC, and therefore, keeping that focus after that first failure, I managed to top all the 3 university MBBS exams and first in every subject except 2 where I was second. So, while doing that, it sounds pretty cool, right? So, but there were and then I thought the story begins now, the fairy tale, this handsome army officer, I have this uniform, stars on my shoulders, stars in my eyes, and it's a cakewalk after that. But that was the tough time. That was when things started, I realized what it meant to wear the uniform. For example, our batch was the first one where the women were sent to the field. And when I landed up on this in Rajasthan, they're called bashas, where you have just roofs and very flimsy kind of walls, and they're temporary accommodation built. And I was in a field hospital in one such thing, and there were nothing else. I was the only woman there because all the other were men, a few medical officers, and then the next thing I knew, I was driven down to Jodhpur post haste because the GOC wanted to know. And when he marched me, he looks at me and says, what do I do with a woman if there's a war? And without looking backward or backing an idea, I said, sir, I'm not staying rear, I'm going up front, you can find who's going to remain in the rear. So that was the spirit with which I walked in. And then they said, no, but we post you to the military hospital in Jodhpur, which was nearer in Rajasthan. And I said, no, I would like to work here, I would like to stay. And I lived in those bashas, and where the men would bathe under the same, water tank when the tank overflowed. And that was my first lesson. I learned, stop looking at yourself as a woman. You are nonetheless. They will look at you as an officer and a soldier if you look at yourself as one. And that is the second lesson I learned. The next was post-graduation. And this is very important because we are so passionate about before even we have spent time to smell the roses. We push ourselves into like life is one treadmill where we have to get into, and it has to be you waste your internship, you're studying for your NEET PG and you're getting into a PG and you keep doing, and then you go by market these things as to which course to choose. Okay, this highest going is radiology, highest going is orthopedics, so I must do it because everyone is doing. I mean, if I've got the marks, I must do it. I think that's the time for each one of you to think that is this the only thing that I need to reach the end tired or absolutely miserable and made pots of money and I don't know what to do with it? Or is it that I've enjoyed the journey? So give a thought to it, and if you get opportunities, do it. I had it even tougher that because of certain rules at my time, women were not given permanent commission, they were given short service. And we could not do a post-graduation till we took permanent commission, and it was like a catch-22. When I applied for my permanent commission, I was pregnant, so I was low category, so I could not be given permanent commission, so I could not be given a PG. So having waited even yet another year, 3 years, you could waited 4 years. After that also, again the rules changed, and they said, okay, if you want, go and do medicine, they thought it was very good, but my passion was pediatrics. And I said, I don't mind being posted to the Naval Hospital, which had been recently recognized, with no library, with no teachers. There was a professor at Mumbai University, but that was the biggest risk I took and a good decision I made. I said, sir, I will do pediatrics, I will do it in Mumbai. And having gone there, Dad was then posted there, my son could be looked after, and I could run around and do everything, and it was tough. Residents think it's tough life, but you imagine if you have to, in addition to doing the work in the wards, because we didn't have so many, I had to find to learn. I had to go to Bombay Hospital to learn in the libraries. I had to go to JJ, Wadia, KM, and everywhere when I was not on call. So it was a tapasya of 3 years. But I came out a winner because I think I learned much more because I got the best of everything from everywhere. And yes, I did want to give up a number of times because it was not easy having a child on your lap and a Nelson on your hand feeling sleepy. But I said, and they asked me what to do, I said, yeah, I'm living with Nelson, I moved in with Nelson, but I have a son in between, so I have to look after both. And imagine the tension I had when the final MD exam, and Bombay had a tough 50% failure. I was like no medical college. And my son, I overheard him, by then he was 4 or 5 years almost, and he says, I heard him tell his friend, यार बर्थडे इस बार जैन में उसका बर्थडे आता है, बर्थडे पता नहीं होगा कि नहीं, मम्मी कहती है फेल हो जाएगी, मुश्किल हो जाएगी, तो फिर तो मेरी बर्थडे तो गया. So you have just the stress of an exam, I have my stress of my son, rest of his life will tell me mummy to fail ho gayi. So under those circumstances I did my post-graduation. And it was really tough. The other tough thing was single parenting. Out of 36 years, that fairy tale crumbled so fast because out of 36 years of our marriage, 24 years we never got a posting together. And I was posted east, he was posted west, I was posted south, he was posted north. And people said, don't they post people, husband and wife together? I said, yes, there's a policy. But I don't know really because I have no background, no one to guide me. And the policy says as far as possible, husband and wife will be posted together. But I think in our case, they read it as far as possible. So it's again an attitude. So you either give up or you say no. When the tough when the going gets tough, the tough get going. So we really roughed it out, taking turns. Sometimes I supported him when he had to do courses. He would support me, and therefore I took a drop and I didn't go again for super specialization. So nephrology was my first love. And then when it came to finally my time, it took the army 5 more years. For 5 years, I wasn't given a sabbatical to go and train at the All India Institute in pediatric nephrology because like what very correctly what the mind doesn't know, the eye doesn't see. So the seniors said, अरे तुम तो दिमाग था तुम्हारा, I remember senior generally दिमाग तो अच्छा था, फिर वो पहले तो तुमने वो छोटे बच्चों में डाला, उसके बाद उनकी किडनियाँ, वो छोटी छोटी किडनियाँ, और वो भी और छोटी होगी तो उसका इलाज तो करेगी. I never thought you'd do this, but this was something that I probably drew a passion when I was doing MD. My mother developed CKD, and that's when I realized how little I know. So if I have to learn to swim, I have to jump into the water. And I chose that I will do nephrology, and I was very lucky. For the next 25 years, I could care for my mother at most without putting her, though it was a CIN, but even then, 25 years without dialysis was, I think, I had got my, it was worth waiting for. The other situations, I can probably give a whole day's talk, but imagine a situation where a family of 4 is divided into 3. Husband is on the border in Hisar, beyond that. I'm in Pathankot. My son says now, grown up, 10th standard boy says, Mom, I've had enough, I'm not moving with you, I'm going and staying with grandparents. The daughter fighting with me, she's 4 or 5 and says, Dada is permitted to, but you're taking me, because she developed a pedicmal epilepsy and I had to keep her with me. So I was in Pathankot, where every day was a fight, whether to get a house, whether to keep the daughter, because there were demands, and I wouldn't want to live through it again. But it was at that point, and then finally they said, yes, you can take study leave and do pediatric nephrology, and you can go abroad. While that is happening, my mother gets pancreatitis, goes into multi-organ failure, and my dad rings up and says, you have to come down and decide whether we switch off life support. So imagine this situation I'm in, husband at the border with someplace, a daughter, I leave her with the nearby, rush down to Pune, 2 weeks we struggle, we bring her out, she walks out of the hospital and lives another 15 years after that. So that is something, these are the joys of being a good clinician, where if you can take care of your own people, I think there's nothing like it. And that is when it was, I bow my head to my teacher, Dr. R.N. Srivastava, most of you would know, who told me, you fight anymore and they'll send you to Timbuktu, come back to the institute. By then I'd already done 2 fellowships, the IAP fellowship, because I was not getting a full study leave, so I had done all the possible training at AIMS. He says, you come back here, don't go abroad. So I had to fight again to say, I don't want to go abroad, I want to come back to the institute. But I managed to do that and did my fellowships later. And one such time from Pathankot, I thought I'll just share you how circumstances, tiny, how you become tough. I don't think I would have imagined that when I was younger. But I remember once I was in Ambala, Hisar, and I had to get back to Pathankot to join back duty, and I landed up at Ambala station by bus first, and the station, and then they tell me, वो बोगी नहीं लगी, आप चढ़ ही नहीं सकते इस ट्रेन पे. And I had a ticket, but it was not computerized those days, so probably there had been a change. And I didn't know what to do. My daughter by then was running fever. I jumped into the second AC, maker said, tell some people, please look after her, and run down and stand in front of the engine like this. And I said, ये गाड़ी नहीं जा सकती है, मेरा यहाँ कोई नहीं है, मुझे पठानकोट जाना है, कल मेरी ड्यूटी है. So then there was much team, the station master was called, everyone was called, and they said, and then finally said, नहीं मैडम, मैंने कहा नहीं, देखो अगर मैं उतरने के बाद आप गाड़ी चलाओगे तो बेटी मेरी है, अकेली चलती रहेगी गाड़ी में. So they took me, made a berth for me, and I travelled. So when you really become tougher and tougher when the things get listened. So that was fun. So that was, and I already told you how I pursued my passion for pediatric nephrology, because I didn't want to do this. They said, do neonatology, do this. I said, no, it is, if I do, otherwise I'm good as a pediatrician. But I think the final toughest choice was letting parents go. And this is something I feel all medical schools should teach, end of life care. And this, what I did for my parents, creating both parents in the same year. Finally, when mom said, I do not want to have more dialysis, you looked after me very well. My sister and me came together and we stood by her and let her pass. I think that was life's biggest tough decision I took, and that made me realize how important it is to take. And during COVID times, whenever an elderly person's drag me up, bed de do, ye karo, I would tell them, if he has to do all this thing at home, otherwise don't let him be lost in an unknown place, in an unknown hospital ward without any, just stand and be with him. I think this is something we need to teach our students and need to learn. So, I love to show this picture of kintsukuroi. This is a Japanese art. When a glass porcelain breaks, they use gold glue to stick it. And see how beautiful and artistic it looks. I think in life we all are like this. The tougher you see, the more the fire, the more the sparkle in the diamond. So it's very important, if we are sitting in our comfort zones, taking it all, getting it all on a platter, we can't, hope to shine with it. We have to be tested by fire, and these are probably our opportunities. So therefore, I quote Nadia Comaneci, who said, I don't run away from a challenge because I'm afraid. Instead, I run towards it because the only way to escape fear is to trample it beneath your foot. And when you that's why the importance of making your own choices. Because if you've made your choice, to quit or not to quit is not an option. You will find the strength because it's your dream. You're not doing it for someone else. You find the strength, you find the capability, you strengthen yourself to reach there. So with that, I thought I should make a little algorithm for today's talk. So I thought I put all these things together and I said, okay, you have a wish, you have a this, whatever it may be. Firstly, it may work out, it may not work out. If it works out and you're happy with the way it's working out, it's a yes, yes, see how short that cycle is. The pleasures will also be equally short. I mean, at the end of it, you'll say, so what? I finished my journey. If you want to enjoy the journey, you have to have those multiple no's. And I think it's important to, whenever faced with a challenge, faced with a difficulty, it's important to ask yourself, can I change it? If I can, then change track, do everything, fight with this. I just told you the stories of the number of times I walked up and put my foot down that this is my decision, this is my want, and therefore I'm ready to wait, I'm ready to rough it out, but I want what I want. So that is the time to take that. The second is it in my control? I mean, there are some things that are not in your control. There are certain rules, positions. For example, I was a short service commissioned officer because at that time the rules were, when I became a lieutenant general, they said go to court, fight it out. As a woman, you are being sidelined. You have to become DG AFMS. I said, I'm not going to waste my energies and time fighting in courts. If this was that time, I will accept that. So I think it is important to make that correct choice and accept gracefully what you can't change. If you do that, you always land up being a winner. Sometimes, because again it was your choice, you don't feel bad about it. Because you took this choice that I don't want to do this, I'm happy with this, and so this is very important, and I think that therefore I put this little algorithm together. I think most important, as brought out by my previous speaker also, that family is a huge support, and that's my husband 10 years back this picture is, and then it grew further, and we are still, and we hold the dictum, what he told me years back when I wanted to give up. He said, you can't. You've been a brilliant student. If you just give up, what's the point? You fought along, you're a fighter. And he continues to do that till date, and because he used a simple term, let us grow together without growing apart. And I think that is important. When we, later in life also, as you move ahead, it is important to grow as a team, you and your partner. So that is important, and also to remember that we continue to have a great support, and from our family. These are my in-laws, those are my parents in the center, and my son, daughter, that's an old picture. Today my son, at the time they were growing up, they had so many issues. My daughter once telling me, "Ab bimar padna padega, fir mere saath patient banungi to baithungi." So they never make an opportunity to make you feel guilty. You have to learn to live with it. But today the same two kids are so independent, doing what they want. One is a designer, one is an entrepreneur, and they go along and take life's decisions because they started taking them early in life. I think it is important to ensure that we let people take their decision. Another important point I'm always trying to bring up, I use this picture to say, is our cultural roots and our heritage. We should not ape the Western things because our bonds and things are different, and that is why we are a very healthy society today. If there are problems, it is through a, a culture or a Sanskriti where there is a loss of that, it will be a sick society. So let us take time to whether it's, and I use this when I was being to start celebrating all our festivals, telling about them, being proud about the diversity. So we'd have Onam, Pongal, we would have the Sadhyam together, we would stand and do a Ganpati procession together, we'd go and work in the Gurudwara for a langar. So we started bringing in this thing, and I think that is important, that we feel belonging to our culture and to our roots. So that's also another important aspect. And I think with today's where information is so easily available, even Google Baba gives you everything, and your patients will come to you with all information and asking you, are you right, are you sure, doctor? So you have to keep your cool. So I think it's important to learn how to find solutions. And if you're not faced with problems, you will never learn finding your own solutions. So I think that is so important. And then I'll just brush through a few things, how this was a philosophy, because I learned to find solutions from the beginning. So whether it was as a very young faculty, before I even went into nephrology, when, this was in the 80s where we didn't have in our smaller hospitals and ICUs, ventilators, but managing to keep in a corridor, setting up with one radiant form and using a puja bell and keeping mothers to have as monitors to ring that bell to call me. So there were all kinds of these things. But the rewarding was when this picture, Pinky, she was a 650-gram-old baby who had been born at that time, treated as abortion, but the nurse rang me up from the labor room saying, hey, heartbeat is there. So I picked up in a kidney tray, saved her 3 months of looking after her, and in that the first 15 days when she did survive, and 1 week, and I wanted to start NG feeding, I found the mother had been given Mixogen and discharged to stop lactation, because in the gynecologist didn't know I picked up the baby and brought. So it was literally a baby in my lap. But having saved and the baby having come out of that and then went on to have, within 1 year, we saved 8 babies below 1 kg. But this young girl is studying now in Delhi for the IAS exam, and thanks to social media, she connected with me and said, Madam, मैं Pinky हूँ. Her name is Garima, but we had nicknamed her Pinky because of the status that she was. Or when getting into bladder dysfunctions, which then later became the area that I really worked on, and because I found this was lacking in India, there was no one working on it, preparing algorithms for this, which are now there in textbooks of pediatric nephrology, or when starting dialysis, the home-based dialysis, how to make it inexpensive, using common sense of pressure cookers, getting mothers to stitch their patches, how to use the reuse, using a weighing balance to make the most. Those were protocols one started working on very early, and now they are routinely there. Then another lesson one learned is, which is important in medicine, that we have to somewhere, if we want illness to go out and wellness to come in, the I has to go away. You have to bring in a WE. Illness to wellness is only when the I goes away and the B comes in. And collaboration for research is very important, and we did a large number of projects on that. And in life, I've put this because, and I'm very lucky that my previous 2 speakers were younger and still said the same thing. But if you see, you start with information and knowledge, and if you keep just acquiring degrees, you would wait till your hair is white to get that wisdom where you start applying it. So if you want to really, you have to start young. If you're passionate about something, start it early, don't wait for old age to come in. Because learning helps you develop a vision. And when you have a vision, that is something one learns. And if you're working on something you're exciting, then you realize it. When you're working on a project, something you're passionate about, you never feel tired. You never feel time is running out. You can be in the lab doing some real interesting work and it will carry on, you'll never realize. Or there's, when you were working for this dialogue session, I'm sure that there were lots of students who worked long hours, and time stands still because you have a vision. So using that along, at every point I started putting it down as a roadmap so that everyone of the team could join in. So when it was HOD, put a vision plan in 2006, so that 2010, 2020, and then along the way everyone else took it forward. And very happy because of that I'm developing in the Armed Forces a subspecialty vision. This is a picture of R&R, and each one of them has sent me a message today because each of these super specialists with DMs has been my student. So it's been a wonderful journey, and I feel really, really lucky to that. But along this journey, I think it is so important that we in medicine keep looking at science when we know that healing is an art. So if you take it and I've put this caricature together, there's a left brain and a right brain. But if you see, actually there's a corpus callosum which joins them together. And it is so important to have that connect. And Gurukul, an institution like this, is so important for that all-round development. It is, you have to be connected, you have to be able to talk, you have to be able to reflect, you have to be able to understand, you have to be able to empathize. So where science, knowledge, time, decision-making, attitude, I mean it's all there. It's very, very crucial. But it will be correct only if it is accompanied by development of language, religion, family, sports, music, personal space. Like she said, doing nothing. You need all that to have a healthy, balanced development of your brain. Otherwise you'll land up. If you have to give decisions on life and limb of people, you should be able to make those same decisions for yourself immediately, quickly, and what you can sustain and live by. For that, you need both your brains working full time. So with that, having developed that attitude along my way, I could handle operational responsibility. The first woman who took over the Northern Command when 370 was abrogated, I was there in Udhampur, visiting every forward location, whether it was Naushera, the Poonch area, complete Doda, where I was told, wait for one day, ma'am, there are terrorists on the loose. But nothing feared because, I mean, it gives you that courage to do that. And there was me because my medical officers were there on Siachen. So I went up there to meet them and encourage them. But there was also the fun where at every opportunity when the students at AFMC jumped into the swimming pool, I said, okay, you want to have fun? I'm coming and joining you. I didn't jump in, but they never expected that the dean will come and say, okay, it's fun too, it's cool. Now you will help me clean up the swimming pool. So, and I also thought of things like creche to help other lady women who need to help women. So in all our institutions where we have young women, so many women working, we need to create spaces only women can think for women and help other women. So with that, the grey hair now was there for everyone, and I was feeling so proud that finally the wisdom can show. So I learned the serenity prayer which says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Therefore, I would suggest it's pointless wasting time on negative thoughts, looking at, the Onida TV in your neighbor, or the grass being greener on his this thing. You might as well see what you have and enjoy and make the most of that. I think that's important. And with that vision, when I came onto the PMC Act, this is exactly that triangle that I showed you. And I and I realized over the years, the problem that is ailing our society and our country is that we are three parts of a triangle. The best of medical education happens in the best of medical colleges. The best of research happens in our laboratories, whether they are under DBT, ICMR, and they're pure scientists doing. Clinical translational, we don't have enough clinician researchers who make that world impact kind of research. So that happens in laboratories. They are not connected at all with the clinicians. They are doing, and I've been attending CDFD, DBT, and all these institutions as an advisor in their academic council, and I find it's fine. Blue sky research has its place. Molecular and cellular level research has to go on. But finally, then it has to link somewhere with how it's going to impact and what are the problems of my country. And the third is public health. That's left to the health department. So the three are just not talking to each other. And then we talk of AI and automation and innovation. I mean, where are we? We have to have the bread first, and then we'll add the butter, and then we'll add the jam. So I think this is where I felt a change needs to be, and I thought I felt very again honored that I got an opportunity to try and do this, whether it's on the STIAC or working on the Board of Governors along with Dr. Siddharth Ramji, Dr. Paul, and aligning medical education to public health needs. We've tried, NMC is trying to put in a lot of things in place, but we need to work on this on a mission mode, and I think the strength will have to be all the medical colleges, the deans, the faculty as a unanimous, we need to learn and speak the administrative language. So that is where. So continuing with the vision mode and having taken a new challenge out of uniform in a total civilian, where the first, you'll be surprised, my first shock was when there were tons of files all in Marathi. Yes, I am a Maharashtrian, but I am a Maharashtrian second. 40 years in the army, and then before that in the railways, having been all over the country. Though it's my mother tongue, I must say, and knowing the Devanagari script, I had no knowledge of, the government Marathi language that the files came in and all the financial. Again, taking my same thing forward, I said I have to jump in. So first day was, should I ask them for a translation of them? And then I said, if I have to gain their respect, I have to learn. Today, in 6 months, I'm doing all in Marathi and I'm giving speeches also in Marathi. So this is something you have to reinvent yourself. And that is why today, whether it's the Secretary of Medical Education, the Minister, they appreciate, because when I talk information, knowledge, wisdom, and in a language, and with the authority that the army gives. So it's a combination of all that. And I think that is the way forward. So therefore, the joy has been of serving. I mean, it's something that I'm absolutely humbled that the 3 professions which used to be looked up to and which need a lot of effort to get back, that of a doctor, a teacher and a soldier. But why are they looked up to? Because each of these professions puts someone else before you. As a doctor, your patient comes before you. As a teacher, your student comes before you. And as a soldier, the nation comes before you. So I think this is the culture that I've imbibed, and if even a few of you go back with that culture that yes, my country comes first, my organization next and we last, I'm sure challenges will come your way, and those will be your opportunities to reach the scale, the new heights. So therefore, I would feel at your stage, competence is paramount. No one's going to listen to you. So use the best. Be the best, learn everything you can in every aspect. Join Gurukul, join every other place, manage your time, learn it and get your competence. But don't forget to have fun. Along the way, life is not only to be made into a boring rat race, it's also to have fun. It's a balance that you achieved it all. But I think what is neglected today for a fit mind is required also a fit body. Most doctors don't care for themselves, and I'm very proud that every day, come what may, if it's rain, I take the rain thing. Initially I would run, then I started walking, whether it's golf, now I'm into yoga, but 1 hour every day is spent in physical fitness, even till this date. And therefore, I challenge everyone. My office is on the 2nd and sometimes I'm on the 3rd floor, and I tell all my younger people in the university, the day you reach up before me, of course they will let the VC climb up first, but that's a different story. But I run up and I never use the lift. So that is something so important. So I will end with salutations to all my teachers who have molded me into the person I am. And in that, it's my grandmother, my parents, they all taught me. They taught me values. And then, of course, from my school days to there on, teachers has been an eternity. And to all the teachers in this audience and the future teachers, because you have to let this continue, because a teacher affects eternity. No one can tell where their influence stops. This has been the end. And I'd like to end that you have to find the opportunity in each challenge. If you remain in your comfort zone, you're not going to be challenged. If you're not going to be challenged, you're not going to be able to turn it into an opportunity. You can't get the satisfaction of having done that. So you have to be your own catalyst again. And this is the book on Ikigai for those who haven't read it. It's a beautiful book, a simple book of Japanese art of Ikigai, which says, you know, where you find your Ikigai when your mission, your passion, your profession and vocation all are in sync. But I've put in circle that not just what you love, what you are good at, what you can be paid for, but what the world needs. I think that is the bottom line. So let us all reach out. And the world is a huge, infinite thing. But if you can make a difference to start with, say, and make a difference to 5 lives. It could be 5 other women, it could be 5 other people. Make a difference to that, and I think you will have start enjoying that. And when you start enjoying these small challenges you give yourself, it becomes a habit to start looking for bigger challenges and bigger opportunities to change them. With that I end. Thank you so much, and Jai Hind.
For the amazing talk. Your journey, your advice, the obstacles you face, and the way that you overcome will keep reverberating in our hearts and minds for days to come. Ma'am, you truly exemplify how diamonds are made under pressure.
We'd like to request our respected Dean, Dr. Ritu Arora, a brilliant surgeon and Director Professor of Ophthalmology, and former Dean, Dr. A.K. Agarwal, a highly renowned ENT surgeon, to felicitate Dr. Madhuri. We'd also like to request our friend Anshika to present her creation to ma'am.